Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms, Thou art the origin and goal of all, Thou art the self of all. Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Vitaritumavatirnam jnana bhakti prashanti pranayagalitachettam jiva dukkha sahishnum dhritasahaja samadhim chinmayam komalangam Vimala Paramahamsam Ramakrishnam Bhajamaha. I meditate on Sri Ramakrishna, who out of compassion has assumed a human form and for the purpose of distributing knowledge, devotion and supreme peace. I am praying for that Sri Ramakrishna. Today we will be having now, this is the last service before we break for the summer. Then there will be, of course, the summer program starting from July 4th. The notices already are out. You can look at the July-August flyer, and they will also be put on our website from time to time. So, this topic of today is something that we need to ponder about because Sri Ramakrishna is known or seen as someone who is always in samadhi and a divine being, and one is not conscious therefore of the human aspect. He is God in human form. And as a human being manifests the great qualities or virtues that we all respect to an amazing degree which ordinarily one will think it is not possible. So, as a human being we need to think of Sri Ramakrishna and thus we will be able to get connected to that Sri Ramakrishna, and from that to the divine aspect of Sri Ramakrishna, and from that, and that is most important, to our own divine aspect. So it is learning like that. The Sri Ramakrishna, a human being like all of us, and an excellent human being in terms of whatever we think as the values that make a human being really humane. It is, and we shall take a look at those today. These things are scattered in the biography of Sri Ramakrishna. And for example, what we have been studying and hope to continue to study, Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, a wonderful biography written by the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Saradananda. So, in that book also he mentions that, look, again and again we see that here is a human being, a perfection even as a human being, in the human qualities that we adore, we revere, we want them in us too. So let us look at them one by one. First thing is truthfulness. Whether we are always truthful or not, and to what extent we are, we certainly value truthfulness as the great virtue. An important thing, a person if is truthful, then we can rely on that person. So, Sri Ramakrishna manifested this truthfulness to the highest possible level, truthfulness. So it is, we can just see a few examples how tremendously truthful he was. Right from his childhood, we see the examples of it. In his little village, he had given an assurance to his foster mother. She belonged to what could be thought of as the lower caste. And in this little village, the caste rules were pretty strong. But this boy grew up in Brahmin family, Brahmin caste. But he assured his foster mother that after a Brahmin has to get into this life of studies and all that, before that a ceremony is performed called Upanayana. It is an interesting idea that Upanayana means now you are given the additional separate eyes to see the world in a different light. So this is I don't want to go into the details of that what it actually signifies, but at that time one has to temporarily give up the worldly possessions and get the food by begging. So it is said that the first begging is to be from the mother. The little child goes to the mother and then begs food from the mother. And naturally, being mother, she will be giving lot of food in that little bag of the child. So, but he had assured that the first begging I will do with you to this. Her name was Dhani, and she belonged to the caste of Smiths. So Smithy. So that was considered lower caste. So when the time came for that, Sri Ramakrishna was told, okay, now it is time for you to beg, go to your mother. But he said, well, I have promised her. And then he was very clear on this, that I have promised. And if I break my promise, even this whole ceremony is not going to have any meaning. And therefore I am not going to budge from this. I will take my first alms from this lady, Dhani. And they thought, well, what can be done now? This was never done before. And so they started, discussing. They tried to explain it to the child. Well, in our family, this is not the tradition. Nobody has ever done it. But this child said, what is wrong? Please tell me. She has been my foster mother, very loving, and I have promised her. And if I break promise, that ceremony carries no meaning. And after consultations with some scholars and others in the village, they said, well, although this was not prevalent in your family, it is such a thing is not without a precedent. So they said, okay, go ahead. So this is in the childhood, you see how truthful he was. Later on also we see how this quality he adhered to, and that yes, I will tell the truth. There is a very interesting incident that combines compassion and truthfulness. When he was staying at Dakshineshwar in the Kali temple, there is a huge big estate. Many of you have gone and seen it, and those who have not gone, I suggest that take the opportunity, find an opportunity and go and see that place. So where Sri Ramakrishna spent lot of his time in acquiring and distributing the spiritual wisdom. So during that time, because of his special love, devotion and all that, the owners of the temple, they were very much attached to Sri Ramakrishna, and whatever Sri Ramakrishna wanted, or even without his asking or wanting, they would do everything for his comfort. So, but another man who was there at the same place was trying to, get the attention and also cast his influence on the owner, especially the Mathur Babu, who was the chief kind of owner and executive person there. So he wanted to grab this Mathur Babu, bring him under his influence. But he saw Sri Ramakrishna is an obstacle. As long as Sri Ramakrishna is there, he will not have any hold on this man. So one day he called Sri Ramakrishna, he got hold of him and said, well, tell me your secret. What did you do? How you got hold on this Mathur? And Sri Ramakrishna said, nothing, I have no hold. And he went into kind of that samadhi state, half conscious of the world and half conscious of the divine realm. So he was not speaking anything more. So this man thought that Sri Ramakrishna is feigning, and so he started hitting him and kicked him, said that, go you rascal. So Sri Ramakrishna saw all that. And he knew, had he spoken about it to Mathur Babu, that man would have been dead. So much power this Mathur had. So what did he do? He didn't want that person to come to any harm. So he said to himself aloud that I will not tell this to anyone. I will not tell this to anyone. And his truthfulness was so ingrained that once he says that, he will not have the power to reveal it. It was only after that the man got into some other trouble and was therefore removed from there, then Sri Ramakrishna said this thing. Till then, his truthfulness prevented, because the next quality we will see, he was very straightforward, could not hide things. So therefore he thought that somehow this will escape his lips. So he therefore made this provision that this will never come out of his mouth till the situation is safe for that person. So that kind of truthfulness, and this is very interesting, and we have to decide that, okay, let me speak truth. For Sri Ramakrishna, the truth became so ingrained in his being that whatever he utters would come out to be true. It is because that has become an ingrained nature. One cannot really imagine. That is why I preface this talk, that one may think that it is impossible to attain that kind of truthfulness. Because of the tremendous practice of truthfulness, what happens is it gets ingrained with our personality to such an extent that a lie cannot escape the lips. It has to come true. It has to be true. So there is a verse in another this thing, Uttar Ramacharit, a great treatise on the life of Rama, a kind of play, poetic presentation. So there, this Bhavabhuti, the author, says that, look, there are, and this is in the mouth of Rama. Rama is telling to a sage who has come there, that saluting them, that, well, there are good people, and then there are what? Oh, no, he doesn't say that there. That would be our understanding. Okay, that there would be good people and there would be bad people. He says, no, there are good people, but there are sages. Much beyond the so-called good people. The good people, he says, how are the good people? Good people will speak the truth. Good people will be careful not to tell lies, so they will maintain their speech in such a way that it conforms to the truth. But the sages, they don't have to worry about it. How are the sages? Well, for them, the truth will run after their utterances to make it true, to catch up with it. It's a very interesting statement that the vacham artho anudhavati. It is for those, the good people. Laukikanam hi sadhunam artham vak anuvartate. This is the first line, that in this world, amongst people, sadhunam means good people. What do? They follow, they keep their words to match the facts or the truth. But those rishinam tu punaradhyanam, those who are sages of the first order, with them what happens? Vacham artho anudhavati. Whatever they utter, the meaning will run after that to catch up with it. And we see so many instances of this in Sri Ramakrishna's life, that there is an instance when this thought occurred to him, that there were some plants planted and then the cattle would come and eat up those. So he said, let there be a fencing around it. And then how will the fencing come? Who is going to make it? How? And before this idea just vanished from his mind in the Ganges, all the material needed for making the fence came floating. And it got parked right where one can lift it from there, what is called the ghats, the banking, banking. So on that banking it was there, so it was taken out from there, and there was another young man, Sri Ramakrishna, and they made that fence there. So now see, such instances are many, that according to his speech, the things happened according to that. So next thing we see that he was very guileless, straightforward, no making of show, no humbug at all. It is whatever is, that's it. Yeah. Didn't care to make things impressive, look nice, look attractive. No such thought at all, as it is. So many instances of this you will see, straightforwardness. There is an instance that is given there in that book, very interesting. This Mathur Babu that I have spoken about earlier, the owner of this Kali temple, a nice man, but used to go to seek other women than his wife, So, and the wife had a doubt that he does something like that. So she enjoined on him, wherever you are going, take Sri Ramakrishna with you. So he took Sri Ramakrishna in the carriage, and then afterwards they came back, and the wife asked, "Hey, so where did you go?" He said, "Myself and Mathur, he told me, let us go in a carriage." We went in the carriage. Then at one place, he stopped the carriage, and then told me to sit in the carriage, went somewhere, and afterwards he came back and said, "Oh, come on, let's go back." So it is, he did not think of, telling things in a way to hide things or be protective about certain things. He just would reveal everything as it is. So he told all such things whenever so many people would come to visit him, and he didn't try to dress properly, because to receive people, you have to dress well. No, very influential, highly respected scholars and rich people would come to see him, and were amazed to see that he has no that kind of that self-conscious thoughts that how people will treat me, let me see. He used to get very, very annoyed, that when, not exactly, the word annoyance is not right there, but somewhat perturbed, that hey, such a scholarly person is going to come to visit me. What will happen now? I don't know anything. And at times he would also pray to Divine Mother, "Oh Mother, why did you make me such a fool?" Such now highly scholar people with the knowledge of all scriptures and such things, they are coming to see me. What will happen? I do not know even how to greet those people. My clothes are like that. His clothing would just sometimes drop off because the body was not having any. Normally, what a person has, there is not so much of flexibility. Body is rigid. So, the cloth tied around the waist would stick there, would remain there. But Sri Ramakrishna's body would get into different shapes. It is in according to the different moods. This is again unbelievable. We know up to this that the thoughts they get expressed on your face. The intense feelings they come automatically on your face. And so we see that somebody is highly elated. Oh, Red Sox won today, or whatever reason it may be. So you see on the face of that person. We used to have two guys who would do some work here, and then very nice people. And they, I could look at their face and tell whether Red Sox won or lost, because that dejected face means Red Sox must have lost. Elated face means it is very good. So, with Sri Ramakrishna, the whole personality would change. The shape of the body, even the size of the body would get changed. And it is unbelievable, but that has been recorded by his biographers and those who saw him in various different states. One instance is there. One sculptor was making Sri Ramakrishna's statue, and that needs to be, seen, inspected and seen that, well, how Sri Ramakrishna's statue, whether it looks like Sri Ramakrishna or not. And so Swami Brahmananda, who was at that time president of Ramakrishna Mission, and also he was considered the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna. He was requested to do this, examine and certify that this statue looks right like Sri Ramakrishna. But he asked that, how can I certify what kind of Sri Ramakrishna? We have seen him in the morning like one figure, at some other time, depending on the mood, the shape would change, the size also would change, the height would be increased or decreased. It is all very unbelievable. As Swami Sardananda mentions there, all our scientific so-called understanding of physiognomy and anatomy will have to be changed by looking at the life of Sri Ramakrishna. It will be considered unbelievable, not right at all, and all that. But these are the eyewitness accounts. We cannot distrust them. So, it is Sri Ramakrishna's body would become so soft, so flexible, that the clothes will, and he was aware of that. So he would wonder how I am to receive people, and if I just became naked, what will they think about me? But what can be done? So he was like that, a childlike nature, very, very simple. In fact, this is something that we all need to acquire, that kind of guilelessness, so that we can see God. If there is no guilelessness, no simplicity, no straightforwardness, then we will not be able to realize God. That is a fact, friends. Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned that several times, that by being straightforward and devoted, one will realize God. That he was so straightforward even in the childhood that he would believe, people have said. So somebody told him that if there is a snake bite, then if the snake bites again, then that poison goes away. So he thought he had a snake bite on his foot, and so he saw the snake entering in a hole, so he went and put his finger in that hole, so that if the snake bites, then that poison will go away. Somebody saw and then, hey, what are you doing? No, it is, I think that the snake has bit me. So if the snake bites again, I heard, then the poison will be taken away. And then that man said, no, 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 it is not like that. If the snake bites at the same place, then it happens. So don't do that. So it was a straightforward belief. He would accept things like that. That his faith on Narendranath was so much that he would, whatever Narendranath would say, he would think that that is true. And not that Narendranath was telling any lies as such, but he didn't know many things. So he had some understanding that he would straightforward present it. But Sri Ramakrishna would say that that must be the truth. So many such instances are given. Once Narendranath told that, hey, you say that a bird that is described in scriptures and such birds are there. Probably I have not seen one, but there is a bird called Chataka, and that bird drinks only the rainwater. It doesn't drink any other water. So Narendranath said that, oh, that is not right. I myself saw with my eyes a Chataka bird drinking water from a pond. Sri Ramakrishna said, is it so? So all that I thought of earlier is so false? And he said, let me see how it is. And one day when it was happening, Narendranath called Sri Rama, look, I was telling you to see that that Chataka is drinking water from the pond. Sri Ramakrishna said, hey, what are you telling? This is not Chataka bird. This is some other bird. This is not, so now I won't believe everything what you say. It is, but that straightforwardness, accepting, believing, and that makes us realize God, straightforwardness. A big problem with us that we don't believe what the sages say, don't accept it, that maybe those sages are wrong. What do they know after all? They were of that long ago. Now our science has developed so much, we can do so many things. Those sages didn't have any knowledge of that. Why accept what they say? So, and thus miss the goal of life. So, when Sri Ramakrishna would have this straightforward faith in his life, then another thing is that complete lack of ego. That is a very special feature that you wouldn't find that ego in Sri Ramakrishna. Where is that straightforward and no ego? Not that I am so and so, people must respect me. And there are many nice incidents to illustrate this. That once the Sri Ramakrishna was invited to a devotee's house, and he and some of his attendants and disciples, they went there. Now, those who had made arrangements, they were not treating Sri Ramakrishna properly, were not paying attention, and they were all busy welcoming other guests and talking to them. Sri Ramakrishna was not being paid attention to. So, Sri Ramakrishna said, hey, where are you? Nobody is paying attention here. his disciple who was there with him, Swami Brahmananda Rakhal, about whom we already alluded to that. So he said to Sri Ramakrishna with tremendous indignation, "Let's go! Let's go!" Sri Ramakrishna said, no, that is not proper. First of all, there are the practical things that who is going to pay for the carriage? They have to pay for the carriage. Secondly, how are we going to get food? So he said, no, we should not. And then he explained that, if had we gone like that, it would mean bad luck, a bad omen for those who invited. And I don't want that to happen. So Sri Ramakrishna waited. And then when they thought, they came begging pardon, and then treated Sri Ramakrishna with proper respect. So once it so happened that Sri Rama, after that Mathur Babu passed away, his son Trilokyanath took over the management of that Kali temple, and he wanted that Hridaya to go away. There were some incidents, and he said, if Sri Ramakrishna, he also should go away. He should not stay here. And hearing this, Sri Ramakrishna, as he was sitting without any perturbance, just started walking out. Okay, so we go. And then somebody told this Trilokyanath, no, what are you doing? It is what a great fortunate thing for us that he is staying here. And that Trilokyanath ran after him and then said, no, it was not meant for you. Sri Ramakrishna said, okay, I will come back. No change, that, hey, then why did you tell me first to go away? Now I am not going to come back. Nothing like that, no ego there. Okay, I will come back. So, this renunciation, Sri Ramakrishna's renunciation, is mainly the renunciation of ego. No I. And then because of this I, ego, what is ego? Identifying oneself with body or mind. That body and mind, they keep on changing. And when we connect I, which is unchanging, and this self does not change. Body and mind change. When we tie them together, then it gets all these problems. That yes, you have so many desires, and to fulfill those desires, one keeps on running after them. So, and then for that we amass so many other things too. Now, if that desires are not there, because ego is not there, the desires also will not be there, and thus automatically renunciation happens. You don't have to, okay, I will renounce this, I will renounce that. That one need not have to do, because renunciation becomes an automatic aspect of egolessness. If one renounces ego, everything is renounced. If ego is not renounced, then one has to practice renunciation externally, but there also, to make it successful, one has to see that ego is given up. Then there is he wouldn't like anybody to be hurt. He was very careful. Many times we all do not want to hurt anybody, but we are not careful. Even that is not always true, that we don't want to hurt anybody. Sometimes we want also to teach lesson to somebody. That is a good way of saying, I want to cause hurt to that person. I want to teach a lesson to that fellow. So, Sri Ramakrishna not only did not want to hurt anybody, that idea couldn't come, but he would take special care that there would be a positive aspect to that, that he would take special care so that nobody will feel hurt. The person that he is interacting with will not feel hurt by that action. So there are many examples of this, that how he would interact with them. So one day it so happened that because of his intense love for Narendranath, who became later Swami Vivekananda, so he, whatever sweets or other things people would bring to him, he would keep it for Narendranath. And if Narendranath is not coming, somehow will make arrangement to take them to him. So he asked his nephew Ramlal one day that he had some packet to be taken to Kolkata. Those days it was a kind of journey. There was not the motor cars, so one has to take a boat or a carriage to go there, or a long walk. Many came there walking, but it was a long walk, something like about 4 miles. So he asked Ramlal, "Hey, do you have any plan to go to Kolkata today?" Ramlal said, "No plans, but if you want me, I will certainly go." Well, I don't want to cause any trouble to you. Just see, are you free on that? Yes, today in the afternoon I have nothing to do here. My duties are over here in the temple in the morning, so I am free. I can go. What should I do for you? Well, you don't have to take trouble just for that, but you take a boat and go to Kolkata, or take a carriage, and then do whatever other works that you may have, think of them, move around, have some fun, and then give this packet to Narendra when you get time through that. So he took a lot of care to see that nobody is hurt. It is, he would ask people that, well, yes, are you doing well? What do you think of these things? How if somebody is sick, he would make arrangements so that that person gets whatever is needed. So this was his, to the utmost, he was so careful not to hurt anybody. And the second aspect, not get hurt by anybody. Even those who do not hurt anybody deliberately, they at times do not have this quality. They get hurt. And it is, spiritually speaking, very important not to get hurt by what others speak about us. A very important thing. Let others speak whatever they like. If should my mood depend on what others are speaking? Let them speak. So somebody would come to Sri Ramakrishna saying that person was saying so many things about bad things about you. Sri Ramakrishna would remain, okay, let that person say. Somebody would come and say that he was showering lot of praise on you, and Sri Ramakrishna immediately would say, no, I am nothing like that. I am just like an ordinary person. Don't think of all these things. I am just an ordinary person. Very simple-hearted and humble in his dealings. Loving, humble. One day it so happened that a famous doctor, who later happened to again treat Sri Ramakrishna and became an ardent devotee. His name was Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar. So he visited Dakshineshwar, and then there is a beautiful garden. Now also you can see that nice garden there. Those days the garden might have been much well taken care of, very beautiful with flowers and all. So Sri Ramakrishna was there, and because of his attire, people are many times judged by the attire that they have, the clothings that they have. So, seeing Sri Ramakrishna's very shabby clothings, he thought that this man is kind of servant here. So, he said, "Hey, please, can you just cut some of these flowers and give me?" And Sri Ramakrishna readily obliged that, "Okay, yes, sure." So he cut those flowers and gave it to Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar. Later on, when he realized this doctor, he felt very ashamed. Oh my goodness. And he came to say that, "I am sorry for this. Am I telling you to do this work for me?" It is, Sri Ramakrishna was not perturbed at all. So very simple-hearted person. And thus, if we imbibe these are all qualities that as human beings we all value. Do we like untruthful person? No. Do we want to be truthful or not? Well, okay, Sri Ramakrishna is ideal there. As a human being, forget that he is divine. As a human being, he is great in that respect. We want to be guileless person, not a showy person, and not say a straightforward person is what is loved by people. We want to be straightforward, and many times people assure, "Look, I am a straight shooter." Not that they are, but what it means is that, well, they value this as an important human quality. Renunciation and unselfishness, it is a great quality. It's a human quality. I mean, nothing very divine about it. All human beings value this. And a lack of ego. We all understand that to be egotistic is not right. So, and not hurting people, and having that mind in equanimity. Whatever happens, well, this person will remain internally unperturbed. So all these are the human qualities that makes Sri Ramakrishna's life very special, very attractive at human level. In fact, that is what many times the people would get attracted to Sri Ramakrishna, and thus would get amazed to find out that mind of his divine awareness. And as you practice these qualities, when we can see that when these qualities we practice, our awareness for the divine gets opened up. It is not just how long we meditate, but how that meditation reflects in our day-to-day life. That one can see in Sri Ramakrishna. That immense unselfish love, it is unparalleled. And that is why Narendranath and others said that kind of love we have never seen anywhere. Even our very loving parents also could not love us like Sri Ramakrishna loved. So that love is very special. So friends, let us try to meditate on this human aspect of Sri Ramakrishna and try to follow these things so that our life will have at least a little bit of that Sri Ramakrishna's glorious living. So I conclude my talk here today because we have the annual general meeting to follow. Subhashish, just Abhijit, put 3 chairs here. 2 chairs will do, 2 chairs, just 2 chairs. Our annual general meeting will start now, and we will have it will begin with the simple prayer. Yeah, you can start offertory till the things becomes settled. And this is this being, as I mentioned earlier, that the last day of our before our summer recess begins. So we will be then on summer schedule. And summer schedules will be, the separate programs will be there. Like after this day, please note this. After today, the next program will be 4th July, the Independence Day celebration. So you are all requested to join in that program. It starts at 11 a.m. and there would be some music, some reflections, and a potluck lunch. So you are all invited to join that program. Then you will be informed of the next programs too.